All right, here we are. Welcome to this week's edition of the 10X Mastermind group call. This is an exciting call because this is one of my favorite topics, and it's really, I'm going to share with you guys client retention strategies for your business. So I've been building businesses for, 28 years now. In fact, October 28th, 1990 is when I started my first business. And over the years, I've had several mentors. I probably have poured, $250,000, $300,000 into my education, mentoring, coaching, all that stuff. And I've developed some client retention strategies over the years that work. And they work really, really, really well. And so one of the things that I want to accomplish on today's call is I'm going to go over the top 5 client retention strategies that I want to share with you so you can have the best result with your client. One of the greatest compliments you can get from a client is not only the day they become your client, but 5 years and 10 years from now, you still have them as a client. And it reminds me of a story. It's a guy named Kurt Olson. He owns a company called Olson and Fielding Mayflower. And in 2006, I started a company called Intelligent Business Network Solutions. And during that time, I started that business January 6, 2006. I gained Olson and Fielding as a client on January 15th, 2006. And when I sold the company, June 1st of 2013, Kurt Olson was still a client of mine. And I ran into him a couple of months at a car wash, and I had a chance to sit down and just have a conversation with him. I'm going, hey, man, you know what? One of the things I want to thank you for is, number one, for being a great client. But I'm just curious. I went through a partnership breakup while you were my client. And my ex-business partner took 40% of the business, and yet you did not go with him. Why? What prevented you from following him to his new company? And the words he shared with me will forever stick with me as client retention. And he said, you know what, John? Nobody understood me and nobody understood my business like you did on a personal level. Nobody has helped me grow my business like you did. Nobody helped me solve problems like you did. It was the relationship that you and I maintained through golf, through lunch and learns, through just dealing with business challenges that is the reason that I did not follow your ex-business partner. And so I learned a lot from that experience with Kurt. And that was really the day that I really, really started treating client retention as a number one priority in my business. And so I want to go through some stuff here today. I'm going to share with you some top 5 ways to increase your client retention. I'm going to also, at the end of each section, I'm going to give you some power tips that I've used and that I continue to use and train and teach all of my clients. And if you take action on what I'm talking about, in fact, if you just take action on, 1 or 2 of the things, then you're going to increase your client retention. So if you think about this, client retention, it's arguably one of the most important aspects of your business. Because if you think about what we have to do to go out and get a client, we have to market, right? We have to call them. We have to set up an appointment. We have to go and meet with them. We have to identify their needs. We have to put together a proposal. We have to come back and explain to them why they need to do business with us. And that could take anywhere from a week to 18 months to 2 years. I've had some client cycles go literally when I was selling high-end technology solutions to the state of California. I had this one project that went 2 years and 4 months before they became a client. The amount of time, energy, money, effort that I poured into getting them as a client was a tremendous investment with zero guarantee that they were going to become a client. And so when you think about your own client cycle, your own sales cycle. How long does it take for you to get a client? How long does it take for you to close them as a client? And how much time, energy, effort, and money do you spend in retaining them? And so when you think about it, it takes a lot of hard work to draw clients into your business. Whether that be through online or offline efforts, it's so important that you work to keep these clients more than satisfied once they become, once they decide to actually become a client versus, before the client. See, so many of us, we spend a tremendous amount of effort trying to get a client. And then a lot of times we move on to the next kill. And we forget to take care of our existing client, yet they can become the greatest referral source for our business. And it's unfortunate because most small business owners focus too much on the before and not enough on the after when it comes to their clients. And if you want those all-important referrals in the future and you want to keep your business solid, it's your current clients that are going to be the biggest asset. So, in other words, if those that continually come back for services that help your business remain stable and give you the leeway to experiment and grow, so you absolutely have to focus on retention. So I'm going to share with you the top 5 strategies to improve client retention today. I'm going to give you some bonus tips that you can take action on. And no matter how much hard work you put into retaining clientele, it's important for you to understand that you're not going to get them all to come back for more. That's the number one thing to realize. So what's more valuable to me is when a client doesn't come back, when they don't repeat their business with me. I want to know why. What can I improve on? What else can I add, modify, or improve in my business to keep them coming back? So let me share with you a story. So back in 2001, I was a partner in a company and I had a very small percentage, which basically meant I was an employee with an ego, right? Because it was very more sexier to say I was an owner versus the actual fact, which is I was employed. And I went on to take on this business when they were only at $500,000 a year. And over about a 4.5 year period of time, grew it to a $5.4 million business. And when the owner came to me and he said, the majority owner, I should say, came to me and he said, you know what? I want you to be the sales manager. And I said, absolutely not. And he goes, okay, well, I'm going to hire a sales manager and they're going to manage you. And I'm like, just the thought of that was just like gut wrenching. I'm like, no, that ain't going to happen. I'll take on the role. And so I inherited not only my client base, but 4 other salespeople's client base. And when I sat down with each one of the salespeople and went through their client base, I discovered that there was a guy named Jim who had 242 clients that he was managing. And then when I looked at the percentage of the sales that he was responsible for the overall company, it was less than 15%. And then I looked at my client base and I had 43 clients, and those 43 clients were producing 69.8% of the overall company revenue. And I sat back and I thought about, okay, what is it that I am doing that Jim's not doing? And how can I help Jim make the transition from quantity of clients to quality? And what I discovered it came down to is these 5 things that I'm about to share with you. So number 1 is you got to get to know your customers. You literally got to get to know your customers, because at the end of the day, customers are going to like businesses that know them better, as opposed to those that just treat them like another client. Now, that's a very powerful statement. Let me read it again to you. In the end, customers are going to like businesses that know them better, as opposed to those that treat them like just another client. And what it really comes down to is this: people like to be known and understood. And if you doubt me on this, I want you to go out and look up Help Scout. And according to Help Scout, many behavioral psychology studies have shown that everybody views their service experience as more positive when they don't feel rushed or ignored. When your client honestly feels that you care about them. See, Kurt Olson, when he made that statement to me, what he was basically saying is, you know what, John? It was all those golf outings that we did. It was those lunches that we had. It was when my dad's business partner died, and you were there to be there and be a sounding board for me because I had grown up with this guy. And it was all the little things that I had done over time that made Kurt say those words. And so you do this by telling your service team to spend a little bit more time with those customers and the clients. Okay, it doesn't mean getting together and doing small talk every day. Anybody can do that. But what really it means is you need to take time to understand the traits of a customer and create that sense of a real relationship. So one of the things I learned over the years is the difference between a contract and a contact is the R. It's the relationship. So if you really want to have a client long term, you've got to invest in the relationship. It's like the relationships that you have on a personal level. We all have those friends that are acquaintances. You know, we kind of know them. We see them at the grocery store. We see them in our work environment, and we kind of have a relationship with them. We kind of know them, kind of know us, but it's not really a good, solid relationship. Then we have those activity friends, those people that we play golf with, the people that we go to the movies with, the people that we travel with, the people that go wine tasting with. We have these activity level of friends, and as long as we're doing activities with them, they hang out with us. Then we have those close friends that we have that we actually spend time with. And if you think about it, there's only so much time in the day. There's only so much energy and effort that we can pour into the close relationships that we have. And then ultimately we have that one intimate relationship that requires a tremendous amount of effort and time. But let's talk about the client relationship. Let me give you a couple things that I've done over the years. I continue to do it today, and I'm going to call these power tips for today's call. So each section that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you some power tips, and then I'm going to share with you a story that explains it. And so one of them is take them out to lunch. One of the most powerful things that you can do is get your list, segment it into your top 20%, meaning that you look at your overall revenue, you look at your top 20 clients that produce the most revenue, which is most of the time, and then you put them on a list. And so what I do is I'll pick up the phone. One of the best business advices I ever got is never eat lunch alone. Always eat it with somebody that can actually give you money. That could be a prospect, could be a client. I'm not a big fan of taking out prospects for lunch and spending money on that relationship unless it makes sense. But I'll call up a client and I'll go, hey, what are you doing for lunch today? Oh, man, I'm busy. Oh, man, I was going to take you out to lunch. Cha-ching. I now have communicated to them. I was thinking about them. I was going to take them to lunch. And if they said yes, I would take them to lunch. But when I get a rain check, I still scored because it shows the client that I was caring about them. And then I'll pick up the phone and dial again. And eventually I will get somebody to take them out to lunch. Just do it unexpectedly. Next thing is you want to spend time with them outside of the work environment. And so in my case, in my current business model, and I've done this in other venues where I do competition barbecue. So at my home office here, I have a competition barbecue trailer. I have a really good layout to bring clients together. And at least 3 or 4 times a year, I will host a barbecue at my house and invite all of my top 20 clients to come and join for barbecue. It's a great way to develop the relationship. It's a great way for them to meet other contacts. And that's just something I do. So last December, during all the holiday parties and everything, I hosted an event here at my house. And it would turn out to be about 47 people showed up. And the connections that were made in that event, I still get, word about. I developed a very strategic relationship with someone at that barbecue that I didn't even know prior to that event. Somebody else invited them. And that's what happens. You want to develop that relationship with your clients in such where they bring their network into the fold. And because you'll never know who you're going to meet. Another strategy that I use all the time is I sit down with my client and I get to know what a great referral is for them. Who's your client? Describe your client in detail to me. So that way I can look at my own network and go, who could be a potential client for my client? And if I don't ever take the time to get to know my client, then I'm not going to have that opportunity. So I tell you this, man, your client is going to love you more if you help them grow their business, and they're going to reciprocate. I mean, over half my client base that I have right now came from client referrals, not from my own marketing efforts. Some of the best clients I have right now came from my clients referring business to me. Last tip on this is get to know their business challenges. And the reason you want to get to know your client's business challenges is because guess what? If you're a business owner, they probably have the same challenges that you have. And one of the best things that you can do is get to know your client on a level where they start sharing their business challenges with you, and then you help them solve their business challenges. Maybe there's somebody in your network that can help them solve the challenge. I had a client of mine come to me and go, I am sick and tired of this bookkeeper. I'm done, and I go, are you open to, connecting with some other bookkeepers? And he said yes. And so I made it my mission to go out and find a really, really good bookkeeper for this guy. Wasn't what we were contracted to do in our relationship, but I went out and interviewed and vetted some really great bookkeeping companies and finally found him one that this particular company, a guy named Monty Montgomery, has 126 CPAs in the Philippines that are trained by Ernst & Young, and that's all they do is bookkeeping. And the price point is sick. And so if you're in the market looking for a bookkeeper, you want a good vetted resource, send me a direct message or send me a text. I'll be more than happy to make the introduction. So that is the first section, which is getting to know your customers. That's the first thing you got to do if you really want to increase your client retention. Next is you want to have a feedback system. And so there's no better way to improve your client retention techniques than hearing from the customers themselves. A feedback system such as a survey or talking with your loyal customers will help you hear from them directly regarding how they feel about your business. And it could be good, it could be bad. I want to know both. I want to know what you like about me and what you like about my business, and I want to know what you don't like so I can make improvements. How many times have we as business owners have had clients leave us and we're shocked. We're like, I thought we had a great relationship. Well, obviously not. Or how many times have you had an employee give you a notice? Nothing pisses me off more than anything than getting a notice from an employee, because all that means is my fault. I didn't take the time to get to know the employee and spend enough time with the employee and survey the employee to understand where their frustrations are. And I experience this every freaking time I take on a new client is they don't have a way to retain good talent. It's the same thing with clients. They don't have a way to retain good customers. Why? Because they never survey their clients. And so, a survey can offer a lot of great insights. It really can, as to what would keep your clients coming back for more, which can also, you can put into effect and keep revising. So one of the things I would highly recommend is implementing a survey. So I developed this document over the years, and I call it the Survey to Success system. And every single client I implement it with, their retention goes up because it gives you the feedback that you need. And so if you want that, here's what I want you to do. Okay, whether you're on the live call or listening to the recording, what I want you to do is I want you to send me a text message. And I want you to send it to 916-741-0596. So 916-741-0596. And I'm just going to give you the document. You don't even need to call me. It's literally step-by-step instructions in there on how to implement a survey in your business. Too many business owners, and I did it for years, business owners guess with their marketing. They guess at what they think the prospect is looking for. They guess with what they think the client wants, or they guess with the client's happy or whatever. Well, how would you like to actually know? How would you actually like to know what works and what doesn't work? I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, my son Preston was 10, and his best friend David, they're the same age. And we decided to go up to Apple Hill up in Camino, California, which is near where I live. And up there, there's a place called High Hill Ranch. At High Hill Ranch, they got this pond, and they stock it with catfish. So there's a shack there. You go and you rent your pole. You got your choice of 3 different baits. You've got worms, you've got hot dogs, and you've got salami. And so I go there, I rent the pole, and you cannot catch and release. Whatever you catch, you have to buy for $14.99 a pound. And so I go there, I get David a pole, I get Preston a pole, they got the little red bobber. The dude goes, hey, what kind of bait do you want? I'm like, well, it's fish. I mean, I know fish. And so I said, give me the worms, man. So gave me the worms. I go over there, I get David's pole, I put the worm on the hook, I throw his pole in the water, I put the worm on Preston's hook, I throw it in the water, and we're sitting there. And after about 15 minutes of sitting there, this son and dad go on the other side of the lake. They put something on the hook. They throw it in the water. And within 5 minutes, they caught a fish. And I'm like, well, shit, man, the fish must be on that side of the lake. So I reeled both David's pole in and Preston's pole in, and I chucked it as far as I could throw it, as close to the other side of the lake as I could, or the pond that I can possibly get. And we're sitting there waiting. Meanwhile, this dude catches another fish, and they reel it in. They put it on the hook that puts the fish in the water, and then they cast it out again. Now, keep in mind, we still have not caught a fish here, and so they chuck it back in. They catch a third fish, and the only thing I can think of at that point is the dad goes, "Wait, this shit's $14.99 a pound," and so he gets the fish. He goes up to the thing, and as he's walking over there, I'm like, well, I'm going to go find out what the heck's going on. So I go over there, and I say, hey, man, what are you guys using for bait? And he said, we're using the hot dogs. Now, here's what I did. I saw something that was working, and I went and asked him, and he told me we're using the hot dogs. So I took to the guy, go, give me the hot dogs, man. I go back over, I reel David's pole in first, I put the hot dog on it, throw it back in the water, I reel in Preston's pole. As I'm putting the freaking hot dog on Preston's pole, David catches a fish. reel it in. The guy comes running over because we couldn't get the hook out of the mouth. He gets his pliers. He takes the hook out of the mouth. He puts it on the little thing, put the hot dog back on, throw it in, and Preston's is thrown in. And next thing you know, Preston gets a fish. Then David gets a fish. Then and I'm not as sharp as the guy across the lake. Okay. And so I allow 7 fish to get caught and paid $149 to learn one of the most valuable lessons I've learned as it relates to surveys. And that is, if you never ask, you're not going to get the feedback that you're looking for. Now, let me give you a couple of really, really great survey questions. It's like the go-to survey questions I use all the time. And I combine it with a referral strategy with the client. And so one of the things I do is I call up my client and I go, hey, Joe, this is John. I'm doing some work on my marketing, and I'm also looking to make some improvements in my service delivery to you. Do you got 5 minutes where I can ask you a couple of questions? Because I'm looking to get more clients just like you. Now, I only say that if you actually feel that. Okay, so I say, hey, I want more clients just like you, and I can use your help on a couple of questions. Do you have 5 minutes? And he says, yeah. And I go, good. First question. If you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me? And if you got a great enough relationship, he's going to say yes. And I say, great. Next question. Tell me exactly what you would say to that friend or colleague about me or my business. How would you describe our relationship? What would you say? And I'm writing. And he's going to tell me, oh man, you're this, you're this, you're this. And I'm going to write down every single thing he says. Then I'm going to make this comment. I'm going to go, hey, so let me repeat back to you what I think you just said. I'm going to read back to him exactly what he just said. I'm going to say, would you mind if I use this in my marketing? If I put this on my website, I'll just put your first name, but if you mind if I put this on my website, if I put this in my marketing, if I use this quote that you just gave me, and he's going to say yes. Lastly, as I'm going to say, hey, you mentioned, this is how you turn it into a referral system here. You mentioned that if you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, you would. Who did you have in mind? And then zip it. Don't say another word. Who did you have in mind? You know? Now, if you want an advanced strategy on this, go to their LinkedIn profile before you make this call. And look up who your perfect client is. Maybe it's a president. Maybe it's a certain type of person. And look at the connections they have on LinkedIn and have a list of 10 connections that they're connected to. So when you ask the question, hey, who do you have in mind? He might say, well, I go, no, it's the person you're thinking of right now. Who are you thinking of right now? Now, I could be that strong with a really good client because I have a relationship with them. And he goes, well, I was thinking about this guy or this gal. And I go, well, tell me about him. And I ask him about him. I go, would you mind if I contacted them and told them that you referred me? And he's going to say yes. I said, better still, why don't I create an email that you can send out? All you got to do is cut and paste it and do an intro email to me and your friend. Would you be willing to do that? And he's going to say yes. And I'm going to say, you know what? I happen to be on your LinkedIn profile, and I noticed that these 10 people you're directly connected to. Do you have a couple of minutes? And he'll say yes or no. If he says no, I'm going to email it to him. If he says yes, I'm going to go, do you know Bill? Do you know Mary? Do you know Sally? I'm going to go through the list, and some of those people on there, he's going to say, yeah, I know those people. Great. Do you mind if I contact them? Do you have their number? And he's going to give me those numbers. And now and he's going to probably think of other people that are not on the list that he now knows is a potential client of mine. And he'll give me their names as well. Strategy works all the time. I use it all the time. I always get anywhere from 5 to 7 referrals every freaking time I do it. It just takes hard work. And so last but not least, before you get him off the call, because He's probably wanting to grow his business. Just tell him, hey, you know what? What I just did with you, I learned from someone else, and it's worked really well for my business. Do you want me to help you implement this strategy for your own business? I can show you step by step how to do it. And he's most likely going to say yes. And now I can take that client relationship even deeper. Okay. So that's just something I do. It is a very, very, very powerful strategy. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3, you want to set expectations for the client early on in the relationship. Okay. There are actually a few different reasons that setting expectations early on in your client relationship with the client is crucial to retention. Number 1, if you can follow through on what you promised weeks or even months earlier, that is going to be very impressive to your client. I can't tell you how many times I get feedback from clients going, they were great in the sales process, they were great at winning my business, but they didn't follow through. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. It's like they were more interested in getting me to sign on the bottom line than they were in keeping me happy once I became a client. So don't let that be you. Number 2 reason is you eliminate the element of uncertainty. The client will know what to expect and when, which can give him or her peace of mind, which is always better to offer sooner than later. So knowing a client, if you think about it, if a client is buying, a $1 item, does this really matter? If they're buying a $10 item, does it really matter? Do you have to follow up and walk them through this process? Probably not. But if you're selling a big ticket item where they're paying $5, $10, $15, $20,000 or more, the moment they sign on the dotted line, it's like, I just dropped 20 grand, man. They need that hand holding so they can prevent what's called buyer's remorse. And if you're in the country of California, not the state of California, if you're in the country of California, they got pretty much a 3-day, they can cancel any contract they sign with you and be released from it. So you want that early on thing to be very, very nice and tight. Number 2 is having a clear vision early on can help your company develop KPIs, key performance indicators around specific expectations, which will help you succeed in general. So now you know exactly what you need to do to measure the success of the relationship. And if you can help it, try to overshoot. Try to overshoot the time needed to complete something. Get it to them early. Get it to them before it's due. Over-deliver. Make sure that they understand by your actions, not your talk, that they made the right decision. And that's going to go a long way to retaining them long-term because, see, at the end of the day, you want to be able to do such a great relationship that they want refer people to you. Because that's how, when I was sharing the story about Jim, he had 262 clients. You see? I only had, a little over 40. I didn't have to work my brains out to develop those relationships to a deeper level. And this is one of the ways that you do it. So it's always better to err on the side of caution in case something goes wrong. But if you can deliver early, and you should, that's going to go a long way. The only way to get this benefit is to see those expectations right away. So the only way to get this benefit is to see those expectations right away and for you to explain them right away. And so one of the things that I do in my own business, I teach all my one-on-one clients, is you need to have an onboarding process for your clients. Now, this works great in a service-based business. If you have an online business where you're doing digital marketing, your funnels take care of this. If you need a great digital marketing resource, I will gladly refer you on a silver platter to one of the best digital marketers on the planet. And he's actually winning an award from Russell Brunson ClickFunnels because he just built a 7-figure funnel for one of his clients. And he's currently working on mine and several of my other clients. But if you're on online business, not a service-based business that depends on funnels, you want to make sure this type of stuff is captured in your funnels. So having an onboarding process is really good. The other thing is if you're doing business with a contract or an agreement, one of the things, a lot of people is like, hey, sign here, but you don't really want to go through the agreement, right? It's like there's too many things that they can change their mind on. That's a big mistake, man. If you're not sold on your contract, if you're not sold on your agreement, what the hell are you selling it for? You should be proud of your agreement and your contract, and there should be no gotchas in there, because that'll piss a client off more than anything. And once you lose that trust, it's going to be very hard to get back. You don't want the agreement or contract keeping that client tied to you. You want the relationship and the fact that they trust you to keep that client for you. I learned this the hard way in 2011 when me and my business partner parted ways. I'll never forget it. It was like 5:30 in the afternoon. He comes in and he submits his resignation letter. And he was under a buy-sell agreement, non-compete agreement, all these contractual corporate legal processes in place, but that did not prevent him from taking 9 big-ass clients of mine, which sucked about 40% of my business out of my business in 90 days. Why? It was my fault. I did not maintain that client relationship. And as a result, when I called up the client, I go, listen, you have a 3-year contract with me, man. You still have 2.5 years. You know, you're contractually obligated. The client said, I'll see you in court. The next client, I'll see you in court. And I got news for you as a business owner. You think that you've got a client because you have a contract? Wait till 5 or 6 of them disappear at the exact same time. What, are you going to sue them all? You can. At the tune of about 5 to 10,000 as just the starting retainer. And that's the biggest lesson I learned is like, you know what? I never made that mistake after that. That was one of the most expensive. I mean, it cost me $450,000 a year in revenue to learn that lesson. And that is, it is not the contract that keeps the client. It's the relationship that keeps the client. And I got lazy. I'm just being transparent with you. I got lazy in that client relationship. And that's the reason I lost those clients. And I made a decision from that point forward to never allow the contract to keep the client with me, but the relationship to keep the client with me. And so that could be one of the biggest takeaways you take from this call is I want you to step back and I want you to do what I do. This is what I do every single month in my business. I sit back when the month is over and I look at my clients. And I ask myself an honest question. I say, hey, if I was my client, right, would I pay me for another month? Would I pay me as a client? It's a big checkup. And I look at that and I go, oh man, I need to improve here. I need to improve here. I need to improve there. I need to do more here. I need to do more here. You know what? I need to take that person out to lunch. Maybe I haven't had a conversation with them. All kinds of things. And as a result, I have very little turnover. Because if you wouldn't buy your product or service, if you wouldn't renew, why would your client renew? Think about it. And so let me share with you a client of mine, Calm Computing, right? Okay. And so one of the things they do is they sell IT managed services, and it's about a 10 to 12 page agreement. And one of the things he used to do is just skim through it and go, okay, sign here, initial there. And he couldn't figure out why clients were getting pissed off later on because they thought what was covered is not covered. And so what he ended up switching up about 2 years ago is we go through every single area. This is what this means. This is what this means. Any questions? We want to make sure the client has a clear expectation of what that agreement entails. And so definitely recommend, if you have an agreement, go through it with them. Okay. Next is you want to be nice unexpectedly. Okay. So giving a free gift or sending a quick follow-up message is great, but this actually works better if you can use the element of surprise to your advantage. How many of us have gotten a gift card, a package in the mail, totally unexpected? How did that make us feel? How did that make you feel? Your client feels the same way. So people naturally remember when something surprised them in a good way because it came out of nowhere. So you want to leave that lasting impression. Remember, though, that you don't want to have an ulterior motive here. Okay, so just trying to sell them something, bringing the customer back, etc. You just want to use the element of surprise for just that, the benefits of a surprise. It makes people happy, and it sticks out in their mind, and something that was out of the ordinary. So I'll give you some power tips here. Create a wow box, right? It's a great thing to do, especially when they're a brand new client. Put together a box. Doesn't have to be a lot of money, but put in there, branded stuff like notepads, mouse pads, a water bottle, maybe a gift card to somewhere, something that is unique to your business. And make sure that every single new client, now I'm talking service-based clients here. I'm talking higher ticket clients. I'm not talking clients that buy a $20 item from you. I'm talking about clients that you want as reoccurring, ongoing revenue. Because it's not about what you get paid on the client today. It's how much you get paid 5 years from now. And are you still getting paid? And so create a wow box. Another one that I use all the time is there's a company out there called Edible Arrangements. And Edible Arrangements, for about $45, will hand deliver a fruit basket that is all the fruits carved up in a really cool thing. It makes a really great impression, okay? And it's cheap. And you're not even using your money, because when they become your client, you're taking their client money and you're getting them a gift and you're sending it to them, okay? Surprise your client with one-on-one lunches, like I mentioned earlier. Just out of the blue, call them up and take them to lunch. They'll appreciate it. One of the best things that you can do is implement a send-out card strategy. So there's a company out there called Send Out Cards, and you can customize the card with the customer's logo, photos. You can make it custom, personal. There's so many different unique ways that you can send cards, because people don't send cards anymore. You're going to immediately stand out when you get a card. So I was reminded of this recently with my connection with a lady named Luba Chozenko, okay? And she's a Send Out Cards person. And we met at a networking event, and she hosted me as a speaker, and everything went great. And then a couple of days later, I get a card in the mail. I'm like, wow, I don't ever get a card in the mail from somebody. So I get this card, and I open it up, and it's very personalized, had a picture of me. It was an unbelievable card. I still have the card. And so if you're curious about send out cards, get a hold of Luba. Her phone number is 916-705-0739. So 916-705-0739. She is an unbelievable talent when it comes to gratitude and showing customer appreciation. Another thing you can do is bring in bagels. Just bring in bagels in the morning. Just stop by, whether you talk to anybody or not, put your business card on there. Hey, was thinking about you. Here's some bagels. And then ask other people, what are some of the ideas that they have? Teach this to your clients. But that's what you want to do, is be nice unexpectedly. Finally, number 5, and I'm going to rush here real quick because we're running out of time, okay, is an anticipatory service, okay, versus traditional customer service. And what that means is, if you think it's hard to believe that anything would be more important than customer service, you're right. Okay. Anticipatory service is simply just a style of customer service. With an anticipatory strategy, your company and or sales team will try to anticipate any problems that might occur and then stop them before they happen. That's what my client, Strativa Raucus, does, is they prevent computer problems from happening before they started. So this can be something as simple as calling and asking if everything is okay, before the client calls you and say something is not. It's the power of a survey. Or something more compelling, like calling to let somebody know that the product they purchase is going to be announced as a discontinued in a few weeks. Client might want to know that, okay? The main takeaway to really stress here is being proactive with your clients, okay? Establishing this dialogue can help you show awareness from your company and even help to show that you respect your client's time. Now, one of the most powerful ways that I've done this is what's called a quarterly relationship review. A quarterly relationship review. And basically what that means is this. I have my top 20 clients, or maybe all my reoccurring clients, on a quarterly schedule. I send them a document 2 weeks ahead of time, asking very specific questions and putting together an agenda to have a quarterly relationship review. This works great if they're local. If not, I've got clients in Tennessee I do this with. But I send them an agenda ahead of time so they can put in their own agenda, and we meet for anywhere from a half hour to an hour and a half. And it's basically a quarterly relationship review that has to do with strategy and how's the relationship going? How can we make the relationship better? How can I help you with your business, etc. So here's what you want to do. Here's the homework. Put your top 20% of your clients on a reoccurring schedule. Just do it. Put the top 20% of your clients on a reoccurring schedule and then stick to it. And then over time, if it gets too overwhelming for you, have other people do it for you as well. Okay. I have a client of mine, PV Amps. They're a solar engineering company. And the guy's got one of the highest client retention rates that I've seen in years. We've been working together going on 4 years. We implemented this strategy early on. And as a result, not only has he retained the majority of his clients since we worked together, but he's also gone back with a survey and asked for referrals, and he gets referrals all the time. He was able to double his business the first year, double it again the second year. He doubled last year. He's going to double again probably this year. And because he has high client retention built into the culture of his business. And so that's the strategies for today. I want you to go back and listen to this recording and implement what I'm talking about. Now, if you're curious about working with me on a deeper level, not everybody needs one-on-one coaching, but I designed a program on Monday at noon where I do a live call, and it's called the 10X Business Owners Mastermind Group. It's a paid for program, okay? It's only $59 a month. It's month to month. First 30 days are guaranteed. Quit at any time. But I take all the coaching and mentoring I've done from the previous week with the clients that pay me lots and lots of money, and I pick the best business problem I solved from the previous week, and I teach that for the first 15 minutes of that call. Then those people that want to be on a hot seat get one-on-one coaching from me. They fill out a hot seat application, give me information about their business, and tell me exactly what they need help on. During that call, I give each one of those people, up to 3 people, a hot seat where I coach them one-on-one. That all goes into a recording, gets segmented out, and put up on a private member website that's searchable. So we have an incredible library of business challenges, business problems, business opportunities that I've shown people how to solve. And it's always fresh. It's always relevant no matter how the technology changes, because it's a live call every week. Then there's a private Facebook group, and then we do a 2-day business owners boot camp every single year where I bring in speakers and so forth. So you can go there and register for that at johnpyron.com, johnpyron.com/get10x now. So GET10XNOW. johnpyron.com/get10x now. Sign up there. And if you sign up, I'll give you a bonus, okay? I'll give you a TTI assessment with your behaviors, your driving forces, and your motivators, and I'll give you a 30-minute one-on-one debrief of your strengths, your weaknesses, help you develop some strategies for you to succeed in your business. I hope you got a lot out of the call today. Go out and make it happen. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great one.